Hello and welcome to CyberWise, Cyber Savvy Made Simple, the podcast on the road to demystify the world of cybersecurity and keep you safe online. We're your hosts, Dan and Esteffan. Dan, I'm super excited to be moving on to our Cyber Savvy behavior number 2. And today we're going to be discussing strong, unique passwords. So I think let's start at the very beginning. Basically, what is a strong password, or what makes a strong password?
Yeah, okay. A strong password, and passwords are the bane of everyone's life. Everyone hates bloody passwords. And, as long as the internet's been around and as long as we've had online accounts, we have needed passwords and they're a pain in the ass. And they're constantly changing. What defines a strong password? Every year it's, oh, your password's not strong enough. We need to see random letters, we need to see numbers, we need to see different symbols, we need to see uppercase, lowercase, the story goes on and on. So a lot of the different accounts out there or different systems and apps that we're using will define what they believe is a strong password. But basically, we want to find a password that ticks a whole bunch of different boxes. We need to make sure that it can't be guessed easily by the cyber criminals, by the hackers, because then they're able to figure it out very, very easily with the software and the systems that they have. So we've got to have something that's super random that they can't guess from a dictionary, or it can't be something that they can research on you, whether it's your date of birth or whether it's a password that's been used before. So we need to make them as complex as possible and as long as possible. And actually, a strong password length trumps complexity. So what that means is that, instead of having a super random, crazy complex password that you'll never remember and will take you an age to actually type it out, you can just have a long password. So a few words strung together, like random words put together with maybe a few letters and a single symbol, like that's a really strong password.
And then let's quickly chat about the complete opposite. What's a weak password? Can you give us an example?
Password 123 is a classic. So weak passwords are passwords that many people have used before, like common passwords. And every year they'll bring out a list of the most common dog shit passwords that were used that year. And the way that we discover this is when accounts and companies get hacked, and we discover their list of passwords that they were using for that app, and the hackers get hold of these passwords. We're actually able to discover what passwords people are using, and we see some crackers out there. And password 123 is a great one. Just password is another lovely one. People's birthdays, people's favorite soccer teams,
Your pet's name.
Your pet's name, lyrics from songs, that sort of shit that has been used many times before. Because then what happens is, when hackers now try and do a password attack and they try and guess your password, they'll put all of these common passwords into it and they'll try all of those. And if you're using a common, really bad password, it's very easy to crack very, very quickly. Really short passwords, are very easy to crack from their very complex hacking systems and software that they use. When they try and do brute force attacks, they'll start with really short ones. And so the longer your password is, the more difficult it is for those brute force software attacks to actually take place. It'll take them many, many days, weeks, months, or years to actually crack a long password. So your weak passwords are short, they're guessable, or they've been used before somewhere.
Got it. And that kind of leads me into the next one, Dan, is, we always told don't recycle your passwords. It makes things so easy. If you use it for one account, it's easy to guess you're going to use it for another account. So is that one reason why you should never recycle your passwords? It's just because it makes it easier? Or is there a different reason as well?
Yeah, it's like having one key for all your possessions, your car, your house, your, different doors. Having a single key, if you lose that one key, the criminals can then use that key to get into absolutely everything. And it's exactly the same with passwords. So unfortunately, we've got so much online activity now. There's so many online accounts. Your average person's maybe got like 50 accounts that they've got online that they'll have a username and a password for that they need to remember to get into that account. And some of those accounts are much more important and much more valuable than others, like your email or your banking or your investment accounts or your work account. And those are super, super important. And then other accounts are pretty lame. And, whether it's a weather channel that you subscribe to or some sports app that you subscribe to, and they may not have the security on those apps or those small websites like you would hope. So if you're using your password, this is your great password that you've got, and it's a corker and you can remember it, and it's a really, really strong password, and you use that on one of these random little sites, and that site gets hacked, and they haven't protected your passwords on that site, the hackers then come into possession of the whole database of users from that weather site, and they will have access to all the usernames and the corresponding passwords. So they come across your username and they go, great, well, let's take this username and try it on these banking apps with this password. Let's try it on Google with this password. Let's use all of these and put it into all the big apps and big systems. And guess what? If you're using the same password, even if it's a really strong password, if they can just take your username, which is your email address, and put your strong password that they've now got from this site into a bank, and now they're in, well, then you're up shit creek, and it's a shocker. And so having unique passwords for every single account prevents that from ever happening. So we can never stop other accounts and other apps getting hacked by hackers. We have no control over that. And so if our password ends up in the hands of the hackers, we need to have confidence that it's only that single account that is at risk now. And we need to worry about that account, not all of our other accounts that we have. So that's why it's super important to recycle passwords.
And here's a tip. If you listen to the previous episode, you'd know to enable your MFA. So if they did get your password and your credentials, MFA would hopefully still block it. But yeah, don't recycle your passwords. It makes it easier. So yeah,
Exactly.
Dan, I know you're a list type of guy. You love having your lists. I wanted to find out from you, do you have a step-by-step guide how to become an absolute password master or ninja?
Yeah, let's look at a list. Okay, so step one, go long and random. So the longer and more random, the better. So a lot of the apps, a lot of the accounts are going to say we need at least 12 characters. So find 12 characters. Technique that I really like is the 3 random words. Just pick 3 random bloody words. Red cat, bloody beer, whatever it is. Try and get those 3 random words up to 12 characters. Mix that up with some uppercase letters. Maybe swap some of the letters out for some numbers. We know how that works, and then throw a symbol in there at the end. It's something that you can then remember, and then it's quite random as well. It's going to be very difficult to guess that, and it's really nice and long, which is super cool. Number 3 is, well, the power of 3. I've spoke about the 3 random words technique. It's a really simple strategy. Picking 3 completely random words, sticking those together. That's really nice for a passphrase as opposed to a password. So that's your phrase, and you can use that as like your master password because it's something that you can remember. So a master password can get you into your laptop or into your computer. And a master password you can use to get into your password manager. And then the rest of your passwords can all be saved in that password manager. So you don't even need to worry about them or know them or remember them. They can just be super long, super complex. But you need to remember at least 2 good passwords, one to get into your device and another one to get into your password manager. All right. Then next, once you come up with your passphrase, step number 3 is sprinkle a bit of magic on there, change it up. You need to get some numbers, you need to get some symbols just to mix it up. And the problem is, like I said, a lot of these accounts have got their specific criteria that you need to meet. So even if you just want to stay with just words in your password and it's like 15 words, that's good enough. That's really good because it's super long. But the accounts that you're trying to put this into will say, no, this password needs, it needs symbols, it needs numbers. So look to try and put those in as well. Next step is updating when needed. The advice used to be on passwords: update your passwords, change your passwords all the time, but that's changed now. That advice has changed, because actually getting people to constantly update their passwords every 4 weeks is a pain in the ass. And so what people do is they get lazy, and they'll just like change a number on the end of their password, or they'll use the same password and change like a single symbol, and people get super lazy at it. So now, the recommendation is don't change them super often. Change them when you need to. If you suspect that you've maybe been phished, if you suspect that your account has been breached, if you suspect that there's anything wrong with the account or anything dodgy going on, you go in and you change the password for that account for sure. And it also wouldn't be a bad idea for your main accounts, your email and your banking, maybe to change those up every 6 months, but do it a proper change and really bring in a really strong new password for that. So that's the next tip there. Next, ditch the duplicates. We've spoken about this. Use unique passwords on every single account. We've explained why it's really important. Don't be lazy, and just reuse passwords across all of it. And then finally, make sure that we're using password managers. They're the absolute savior for this. Everyone hates passwords. They suck. But use password managers. So it's a really simple, plug that password manager in any account that you're trying to fill in. It's going to automatically fill your username and password using that little app that you've set up. It takes a little while to set up these apps, but it'll save you thousands of hours once you've got it. And you can either use a password manager app, or you can use the password manager in a decent browser like Chrome or Firefox out there. So there's a couple different choices for where you use your password manager there.
Yeah, I mean, especially after the recent updates from Google Chrome, I think the password manager is pretty solid. And we are going to have an episode on password managers coming up, so be sure to listen to that one as well. But yeah, Dan, that's it. Cyber savvy behavior number 2 done. Thanks for your time and your insights. I appreciate it, and catch you in the next one.
Awesome, S. Thanks very much, mate. Have a good day.
Cheers.